Welcome to my channel. This is Kathy, and today I want us to do another Whole Foods Made Simple recipe, and it is Southern cornbread is on the menu today. And you may ask, what is Southern cornbread? If you know, you know, but if you have not been exposed to Southern cornbread, maybe you have been exposed to sweet cornbread, that is the difference. Southern cornbread is referred to as a savory cornbread, so no sweeteners added here. And in this case, we're going to use this cornbread to turn it into cornbread stuffing for our Thanksgiving dinner, which is just in a couple of weeks from now. So when you have this recipe, you are welcome to add your sweetener of choice, honey, sugar, whatever you like. If you want to turn it into a sweet cornbread, I don't know how sweet cornbread would translate into a cornbread stuffing, so probably want to go with the savory version if you plan to use it for your cornbread stuffing. But absolutely, this affords you all types of options, and the sweetness is up to you. When you are adding honey or sugar, you can scale that however you choose to get it to your sweetness preference. If you choose to do cornbread that is sweet, today though we are focusing on savory cornbread, and we're going to do it in a small 8-inch iron skillet. The reason I like to use iron skillets to make cornbread is when you add your oil, about a tablespoon in this case, I'm using olive oil, to the pan, and you bring it up just to that smoke point, or even beyond a little bit, to be honest. We do bring it a little higher than the smoke point. But when you see it start smoking and you add your cornbread batter to that iron skillet and then put it in a hot oven, you're going to have the result of a really crispy cornbread crust, and that's how we happen to like it in this house, if we're eating it or turning it into cornbread stuffing. But there again, you have flexibility. You can use your muffin tin and make cornbread muffins. They will be fabulous. I assure you, you will love every bite, but it will be more moist and cake-like. You're not going to get a crispy crust if you use your muffin tin. You can also do this in a cake pan that you would typically use for banana bread, and it will turn out again great, and it will taste wonderful. You just will not likely get as crisp a crust. So you can go however you like and experiment until you decide you have found your preferred method. So again, today we're going to make an 8-inch skillet. And to do that, we will need, I personally do a combination of corn flour and wheat flour. I do half and half. That's how I was taught to do it, what feels like 100 years ago, and that's been my preferred method of doing it. Some people do all corn flour, so that is something that you can experiment with. Know that you have the flexibility to expand on this and make it your own. So we will do half and half cornmeal, corn flour and wheat flour, and I will show you grinding that. I'm going to grind it today in my Nutri-Mill Classic. There will be a link to this with a discount code, and right now there's Black Friday special going on, so if you're wanting to experiment or get into the business of freshly milled flour, I strongly encourage it. And you'll see I have already added the corn. I'm using popcorn and the soft white wheat berries. I've combined those in my mill, so you'll get to see those ground and the end result, which will be our combined flour, and then we will mix all of this up. Today I'm doing a little bit different because I'm going to change your perspective so that you just see the work surface and the work I do to bring the recipe together, get it in the skillet and in the oven. And if you would want to give me feedback on what you prefer, do you like the first person experience looking at the work surface so you can get a gist for what it would be like if you were doing it? Let me know. I can keep it, as that focus if you prefer, and then we can always change it up, which I likely will do depending on the recipe, but I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you find that this is encouraging, if you want to share it, like, subscribe, I appreciate it, and would look forward to seeing you each time we probably focus on a bread recipe or some whole food made simple. I'm glad you're here with me. Thanks for choosing to spend your time, and we will get started on this recipe. Here is the result of our popcorn and cornmeal after the grind. So this is what we're going to use. All I'm doing there is tapping out the overflow from the grinding cup in the Nutrimil Classic. And here is the result of half a cup of popcorn along with half a cup of soft white wheat berries. And here we have the remainder of our ingredients. I have half a cup of whole milk here with half a tablespoon of not apple cider. You could use apple cider. This is distilled, white distilled vinegar. So half a cup of milk, half a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. I've gone ahead and added 1 tablespoon of olive oil to our liquids here. And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to add our 1 egg into this mixture. We will blend that, and that will be all of our liquids. Here is our trusty whisk. Your fork is your best whisk. I do have other whisks, but I find for this simple, getting this egg incorporated into our other liquids is the best way to get it done. All right, so we will start by adding our 1 cup of our flour mixture here. You can do this separate. I just don't see any reason to. It's all going to be blended together. That's 1 cup. And now I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. I have 1 teaspoon of salt. And I have a little bit, 1/4 to 1/2 a teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. And this is, optional. If you're not a pepper fan, by all means, you can leave it out. It's a good thing about all these homemade recipes. You get to decide what goes in it. And if you don't like it, you leave it out. This is an important step here. You want to mix all of your dry ingredients together because the baking powder and the baking soda, once the liquids hit, especially that baking soda, it will essentially solidify the baking soda, and you just don't want to be the person who bites into a really great prepared, homemade, from scratch, prepared cornbread and have a bite of baking soda. No, nobody wants to do that. So just take a minute, less than a minute, 30 seconds, and really incorporate all of this well. And you can't get any easier than this. Pour in your egg and other. Oh, I'm glad that stayed behind. I had a little bit of eggshell in there. So yeah, this is so easy. Mix this together, and what you will find, or what I have learned anyway, is with these recipes like this that are essentially a batter, so your cornbread, your muffin mixes, keep them a little on the loose side. And this one is probably a little more stiff than I'd like. So I'm just going to put a little squirt of water in there. And this will ensure that we have a softer cornbread at the end. You don't want it to be all tough. Okay, we have our 8-inch skillet here. I'm going to put this on medium high. I have 1 tablespoon of olive oil in this small skillet, 8-inch, as you can see. Give you my, my hand there for some perspective. And we have our cornmeal mixer here that's just sitting, and that is quite all right. You don't want to overwork it. So it'll just sit here, and we're going to bring this up to a smoke point. Pour this in. It's going to sizzle, which is going to work on giving us that really crispy crust. I already have my oven set to 400. This will go in for probably this small size, about 20-25 minutes at the most. It's one of those things that keeping it around that 25-minute mark, you're not going to overdo it. You can overcook anything, but in this case, we're looking for a golden brown. And we are at a smoking point here. Let's get this poured in. Right. And this is still a little on the thicker side, and that's okay. Just want to spread it out, make sure that we're kind of even there. And I like to give it just a couple of seconds, probably no more than 30, to kind of set that crust on the bottom here on the stove top before we go right into the oven. We're going to put this in at 400 and give it about 20 minutes and check on it and see if it is done to our liking as far as browning. Okay, here we go. Time to take this out of the oven. See how great it looks, all nice and brown. Yeah, wonderful. I don't usually check it. I probably should. Yeah, it's done. With this smaller size 8-inch, yeah, 20 minutes was perfect. You saw how quick that was to mix up the batter and get it in the pan. I think it took almost as long to heat the pan as it did to mix up the ingredients. So once you have this one committed to memory, you're done with it. It's a quick fix and it's easily to pop out of this skillet. Look at that. We have our crispy crust. And what I was saying about getting it out of the iron skillet and into the pan, you don't want it to steam. So what I do is, as you saw, out of the skillet onto a plate and start cutting it into, this is what you would do if you wanted to serve it as bread for your meals, with whatever you choose to serve it with. Any type of beef stew, chili. That's the other thing to think about with cornbread. You could add jalapeno to this. You could add cheese, corn whole, like canned corn. Drain that really well. Add it in here. But yeah, nice and moist on the inside. Really well done and crispy, crunchy on the outside. My husband, he likes to take this. I don't know where we got this from. It's a southern thing too. Take a piece or two of this, crumble it up into a cup, pour some milk on it, and eat it like a cereal. I guess that is kind of what it is, cornbread cereal. So this is cut into nice little wedges to slather, cut open and slather some butter on. But in part 2 of this, we're going to use this as the base for some cornbread stuffing. So I hope to see you there. Again, if you liked this, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, you'll know when we're doing our next whole food recipe. Thank you and have a great day.